Bacon also just announced he's not going to seek re-election, as House Republican leaders need to hang on to every seat to maintain their razor-thin majority in the midterms. Congressman, thanks for joining us. So Senator Tillis says that White House advisors are simply not telling President the truth, the effect of the Senate version of this bill is that it breaks the president's promise to not kick off Medicaid citizens who are worthy of the program, who qualify for the program. The White House says Tillis is wrong. Who's telling the truth here?
Well, I think Senator Tillis is telling the truth here. And that doesn't mean that some folks in the White House are intentionally mislabeling this. But the House version, I thought, was clean. I could defend it every day. Work requirements are very popular. Taking off ineligible or illegal people off the Medicaid rolls. People like that. It's a $500 billion savings. But the Senate has added more fees that will lower the money that goes to the states that apply Medicaid, and eventually will lower the fees that go to hospitals to a level of about Medicaid. That's the goal. But Medicaid pays a lot less than Medicare pays a lot less than Medicaid, and that's where they're trying to take it. So there will be a cost to the hospitals with this bill. And so I also would recommend to the Senate, by all means, improve the House bill. But I think on Medicaid, we got it very well. We worked 2 months inside the House to find the right compromise, and a compromise that we could defend every day. And so there's a lot of us on the House side that are worried about with the Senate bill. And I think we'll have a hard time passing with some of the provisions that the Senate's put in there. So I think Senator Tillis is speaking truth here.
So would you not vote yes if this bill, because obviously for anybody who doesn't remember Schoolhouse Rock from our childhoods, like this bill, because the Senate is changing the House bill, it's going to have to go back to the House for you guys to vote on it again. Would you vote no on this version?
Well, there's talk with a bunch of folks on the House side that we will modify this portion back to the House instead of back to the Senate. That's the view of many of us. But there's hundreds of amendments still to be voted on today. There are amendments on the floor to fix this. So I think a better course of action for me right now is I've been calling senators, I've called the White House, I've talked to the Speaker, and not just me, a bunch of us on the House side, encouraging the Senate to move this bill closer to the Senate, to the House side on Medicaid. By the way, I think there could be better improvements to the House bill on SNAP, the federal pensions that we worked on. Also, I feel like our energy stuff policy that we had in there was not where I really wanted it. I mean, I got some of what I wanted, but not all of it. So I think there's grounds for the Senate to put their fingerprints all over this. But the Medicaid thing, we worked hard to get it right. Mm-hmm. And I'm worried about where we're going, but the Senate has time to fix it.
So on your decision to not run for re-election, you said today that you think you could win your congressional district again, which for people who don't know, you represent a lot of the city of Omaha in Nebraska. You're one of only 3 House Republicans that won a seat that Kamala Harris also won. You've complained that divisions within your own party have made it difficult, however, for you to do your job. How have divisions in the GOP made it difficult for you to do your job?
Well, it's much better when our party's unified, and you can see it today when attacking Senator Tillis isn't helpful. But when you're in a district that's a third Republican, a third Democrat, a third Independent, a unified base or your own team helps win those elections. But the reason I think I feel like I could win this race if I decided to stay in, I've passed more legislation than any other member of Congress in the last 2 years. If you go back 4 years, I'm number 2 of 435, rated the most effective member of the House on legislation, and we've done.
So why step down? So why? I mean, you're making a good case for running.
Because it takes 14 hours a day, 5 days a week, and I work most Saturdays and many Sundays, and that's what it takes to win in this district. A district that went for Harris by 5, that went for Biden by 6. And I've been doing this for 10 years, and then I did 30 years in the Air Force before that. I want to come home at night, going to D.C. 4 days a week, and then coming back here. I look forward to doing more stuff with my wife of 41 years, Angie. And I have 8 grandkids that live within 10 minutes of our house. So I still want to serve, but I'd like to be home more often, and I'd like to become maybe a better family man.
All right, Republican Congressman Don Bacon of Nebraska, retired Brigadier General. Thank you so much. Always good to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you, sir.